Hello, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Opposition. Brand new feature on the show this season where I'm going to get thoughts from our opposing teams' fixtures before the weekend, just to get a bit interesting, see how other teams are performing and get some insights into how they think the game's going to go and how we're going to perform. This week, obviously, we're at Burnley, Turf Moor. I'm delighted to be joined by a fellow Fanalyst, Andrew, also known as AlwaysClaret. Andy, pleased to have you on. How are you?
I'm not bad, thank you, Wayne. Thank you for having me. Yeah, looking forward to the weekend back on turf and hopefully a good game.
Fingers crossed. We had two good games last season, didn't we? So, fingers crossed. We'll have a look at, obviously, Burnley's transfer business in the summer. Obviously, made some big money signings that you have made. And we'll have a look at the game at the weekend against Spurs, which was a tough opening fixture for you. I'm also going to be asking you about what your thoughts are of Sunderland and where we're both going to finish, and also what the thoughts are on us getting relegated this season, which everybody seems to have us down nailed on already. So we'll discuss that in a little bit later. But transfer business, then, I think you've spent quite a bit of money. When I've just been doing a bit of research there, more than what I thought, to be honest with you. I think I worked out at about 70 odd million quid. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but what's your thoughts on your transfer business this summer?
Yeah, about 70 million sounds about right. I think we had 4 loans last year who we've ended up making permanent in Marcus Edwards, Jaidon Anthony, Bashir Humphreys and Zian Fleming. So they don't sort of feel like new signings, as it were, because obviously we had them on loan last year. But I think a decent chunk of that 70 million has gone straight onto them. And then obviously, we've lost Trafford, we've lost Egan Riley, we've lost Josh Brownhill. So we've had to sort of replace those. I don't think we really have replaced Egan Riley yet, but obviously Martin Dubravka's come in from the dark side of where you're from. And
we'll not touch too much on him. It's a bit of a dirty word in these parts. But no, he's a decent goalkeeper from what I've seen of him. I mean, he's experienced. He knows. He's got loads of games, so he probably do well for it. I mean, he's not probably James Trafford kind of level, but he's a good steady goalkeeper, isn't he?
I think we've brought him in on a 1-year contract. We've got a young goalkeeper called Max Weiss, who we've also brought in this summer. Young German goalkeeper who's, I think he's got a big future ahead of him from what I've seen, prior to us signing him. But he doesn't seem quite up to Premier League standard just yet. And I think that was our mistake last time. We threw James Trafford straight in the deep end. Yeah. And he just looked like a little kid at times. So I think it's a smart move bringing Dubravka in. Like I say, he's only here for a year, potentially longer, depending what happens. But yeah, we just needed to replace Trafford with him. So yeah, and then obviously Lesley Ugochukwu.
Well done.
Still trying to get our heads around some of these names of the lads that we brought in. We're not used to these exotic names in Burnley, Steve or John, but yeah, I think he's being known as Big Les at the minute.
That's fine. Yeah, that works, Big Les.
Yeah, Big Les. But yeah, he looks interesting when he came on against Spurs at the weekend. I think he didn't get much of the ball, but not many of our players did. But he could be a huge signing for us this season, depending on obviously which way he goes and how much game time he gets. And then obviously, Armando Broja, which again, another one who could be huge for us depending on his match fitness, because he's got a bit of a shaky injury record, but when he does manage to play, he knows where the net is, which is a big issue with us at the minute. We don't know where the back of the net is.
That's it. I think from all the teams at the bottom, you need a goal scorer, and I think that could be the struggle for every team down the bottom. You have to find someone who's going to step up, like one of your players already, or you have to try and find that gem for cheap money, which is really, really difficult to do. But I mean, out of those signings, what you've said there, which one kind of excites you the most? I mean, you haven't really mentioned Kyle Walker amongst them. I mean, is he one of your best ones, or is there another one like Ugochukwu there? You said, is he an exciting one?
Yeah, I think Kyle Walker's an interesting one because of the experience that he's got. Is he a 6-time Premier League winner? He's won the Champions League. We've signed him from Man City, so there's obviously a player there. And seeing him against Spurs at the weekend, I mean, some of the passes that he made, I haven't seen a Burnley player make passes like that for a long time. And I know he's getting on a bit, and people have said that his legs are gone and stuff like that. But for a team like Burnley, he'll do the job. But he's not the one that excites me. The one that excites me is the other fullback that we've brought in, Hartman. He's, watched him a few times in pre-season and didn't quite know what to make of him. Again, seems to be someone who likes to get forward, create chances himself, and try and take the chances. And again, we've not really had that at left back at Burnley. Obviously, Ian Maatson a few years ago, but apart from him, we didn't really have that sort of player. But he looks young, he looks good, he looks, like I say, eager to get forward, and he looks like he's got a high potential. So for me, he's my standout signing at the moment. Obviously, still a couple of weeks left to go, the transfer window. We still need 2 or 3 signings, in my opinion. So that could all change. But at the minute, it's Hartman for me, best signing we've made.
Good stuff. I look forward to seeing him at the weekend. But so where do you think you still need to strengthen? Is there any certain areas where you think you're short?
Yeah, I think obviously, like we touched on with the striker options, we still need someone who's going to put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, we brought Broja in, but it sounds like he's a few weeks off being match fit. Lyle Foster, he hits his purple patches sometimes, but he's scored 9 goals in nearly 4 seasons for us, so he's obviously not the prolific goal scorer that we need. And then Zian Fleming, who, like I say, we've made his loan permanent, but he's not a striker. He's more of a centre attacking midfielder who was played up front. So we're really missing that pivotal goal scorer. And then maybe another centre half, someone to complement Maxim Estev. I think Ekdal played well at the weekend for us, but we need someone who's not just going to play well, they're going to be, stand out and solid, because you'll know as much as I do that our defence is going to be pivotal this season in trying to keep us in this league. So we need someone up front and we need someone at back.
It's that spine of the team, isn't it, where you have to get that good spine. I mean, Egan Riley, I thought, was tremendous for you last season. Every time I saw him, he just impressed. He got better every game. He was just brilliant. I mean, he's going to be a big miss for you this season, I think. But Estev is a good player as well. I think but just shows you the record that you had last season in the Championship and conceding 3 goals in the first game. And it's just massive. The step up's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge. And like I said, Egan Riley wasn't supposed to stay last season. I think we had quite a lot of injuries in the week building up to when we came to your place. And I think that was Egan Riley's first appearance, in the league for us at Stadium of Light. And it was sort of a random, he's been chucked in and this player's been chucked in. And from what I can remember, he didn't play that well. And then the following week, we played Blackburn, and I believe Joe Worrell played instead of him. And he performed slightly better than Egan Riley had. And then, unfortunately, Worrell got a slight injury and Egan Riley came into the team. And that, that was it. Like you said, the incredible defensive record from last season. And we didn't concede more than 1 goal in a single game in the league. And then first game back in the Premier League, bang, 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 3-0 down. That step up's massive.
It is the difference in quality. So you make a mistake in this league and you get punished. That's the harsh reality of it. You get punished. But on all them signs, what you've made, I know you had some of them on loan last season. But do you think that they'll take time to gel, or do you think Scotty Parker will have them kind of settled in quite quick? What you're saying so far, will it take time?
Hopefully they'll have settled in. Quite a lot of the business was done quite early for us. I think other than Big Les, Dubravka, the 3 most recent ones, everyone else seemed to be done quite a few weeks ago. So they should have had some time to settle in, bit of time to gel. But it's just feeding those other players in now for us, which I think will take time. But fortunately, looking at the fixtures, we have, fortunately, unfortunately, depends which way you look at it. We seem to get a lot of the big hitters out the way early on, and hopefully, when we start to get to teams that we should be hopefully picking up points against, hopefully by then they'll have gelled and we can start picking up points there.
Fingers crossed. And I mean, when like us, I mean, we've made 13 new signings, and I think we might take a while to gel and bet together. But the signs on Saturday were really, really good.
You looked all right against West Ham. If you still need time to gel.
The first half was a different story. The first half, West Ham were the better side, and they should have scored first. They had one clear off the line. If that if they score, that's a different game. Second half, we just grew in confidence as the game went on, and once we got the first goal, that was kind of game over for us. There was only one team going to win from there. But the first half they had lots of possession, and we were nervy, really nervy, but just looking to get the first goal, and it changed the game. But it could have been an easier, different story. But your game at the weekend, I know it was 3-0, but from the highlights, what I've saw, that doesn't really tell the whole picture. I think 3-0 was a bit unfair, I think. What was your thoughts on the game? Did it kind of play out as you expected it to?
I think the first 10 to 15 minutes definitely did. Right from the kickoff, we were under the cosh, and it would basically be like watching two banks of five just block every single ball that was coming in. I mean, realistically, we could have been 1-0 down within 30 seconds if it weren't for our goalkeeper. But yeah, as soon as Richarlison got the first goal, the game sort of flipped on its head, and we seemed to try and take the game to Spurs, which I don't know if that's how we're going to be this season. It happens sometimes, don't it? You go 1-0 down and everything seems to just sort of click for you. So, yeah, we seem to take the game to Spurs, and honestly, just before half-time, we should have had a penalty. But at half-time, I thought there's a chance here for a point. We could nick a point here, or even potentially all three. And then the second half, Spurs just showed the quality that they have. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Richarlison's second goal, but sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, "What a goal!"
That doesn't happen in the Championship very often, does it? When you
no.
out of nothing.
So I think we had left him a little bit too much space, but like I say, sometimes you just have to hold your hand up. And then obviously we're 2-0 down, so we have to go for it really. And I think that left us open for them to get the third goal. And after that, it had sort of fizzled out, and it weren't really much of a game after that. But I think 3-1, 3-0, sorry, probably flattered Spurs a little bit. But I would have liked us to get a goal. The travelling fans and stuff. It would have been nice to get a goal, but like I said, that's the sort of quality you've got in the Premier League compared to the Championship. You can make some mistakes in the lower leagues. You can leave that space, and when teams like Spurs have players like Richarlison and Kudus, for example, you're stuck there with 35-year-old Martin Dubravka. It's a bit hard, but yeah. I think the scoreline did flatter him a little bit, but we played better than I expected.
I mean, like I say, I saw the highlights on the penalty. I do think it was a debatable one. I mean, Porro's definitely played Anthony and not the ball. I mean, for me, it looks. I've seen them given for much softer than that. So I think these were kind of a bit harshly done to there. I think it was definitely a penalty. But is it one of them where you get into a top six or allegedly top six side and decisions don't go for you? I mean, was it a VAR or was it not a VAR or was it just not even checked?
Apparently it was checked and cleared, but for me, I think it's one of them where anywhere else on the pitch, the ref gives it as a free kick. And I've seen the argument that apparently it wasn't given because Anthony wasn't going to get the ball. For me, you shove someone in the back, it's a foul whether you going to get the ball or not. But unless the rules have changed, which looking at some of the laws this week, the penalty for Leeds against Everton, you look at some of the decisions and you just think, wow, So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that it wasn't given. And yeah, apparently VAR checked it and just said it was all okay.
I mean, that's another thing that we've got to get used to this season is VAR. I mean, luckily we didn't have any involvement at the weekend, but that's the thing. When you score a goal, you're like, shall I celebrate or do we wait or do we what do we do?
From recent experience, because unfortunately we have got experience with that.
Yeah.
Going both ways. Celebrate the goal. Celebrate the goal and take the disappointment
afterwards.
If you're anything like Burnley will be this year and you're fighting down the bottom end, you're not going to get as many goals as you do. So celebrate the moment.
Celebrate when you can. Celebrate when you can.
Exactly.
I mean, I think reading some of the other reports on Fanalyst as well, there was a couple of chances missed as well. I think Hannibal had a chance and Anthony might have had a chance. Do you think, that they should have taken them, or were there good chances?
Yeah, we had quite a few. I wouldn't say good chances. They are for the Premier League, but you've got to be clinical. You're not going to get as many chances as you did in the Championship, and that's, you look at our scoring record from last year. It wasn't fantastic itself, So that's why I say we need someone clinical, because we're not going to get as many chances as we did in the Championship, and we need to be able to put them away. And I think the Hannibal one, he decides to cut in rather than have the shot first time, and the Anthony chance, it just goes over. So yeah, you've got to be more clinical, and I think that's our downfall at the moment.
That's the fine line in this league. It could be the deciding factor in surviving or getting relegated. But do you think, have you been linked with any of the centre forwards, like with 2 weeks to go before the window? Anything coming out of transfers?
Not that I've seen. I've seen this afternoon we've been linked with an Israeli player whose name escapes me at the moment. But apart from that, it's been really quiet. So ever since we got Dubravka, it's been really, really quiet. I think there are some concerns that might be our business done. With 2 weeks left, it's that is a bit of a concern. I know, obviously, there are some free agents out there who may or may not improve us, but yeah, we need to strengthen there, definitely.
I think normally what happens in the transfer window, you might find the last week where some of these big teams get some more players, and some of their fringe players might become available on loan. Me personally, the likes of Harvey Elliott and them were the types of players I was hoping we would be looking at. But obviously we've gone abroad and in Europe and signed a lot of French players and what have you, and a lot of African players, which come December, January time we might regret that.
Or AFCON,
for the AFCON. But we'll have to wait and see. But I see that a lot can happen in these last 2 weeks, and like what happened with us, something just comes out of the blue that you've never heard of. The ones that you kind of figure that you've been linked with never kind of happen.
Yeah.
Some of the ones you've never heard of. So fingers crossed you get somebody in. But on to, both of us, obviously everybody's got us nailed down for relegation. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it's justified? What's your honest thoughts on where you're going to finish this season?
I think a lot of people who have us nailed on for relegation, and this goes for both Burnley and Sunderland, didn't watch much of the Championship last year. A lot of people who have us nailed on for relegation aren't taking into consideration that, there's 9 teams in Europe this year.
Mm-hmm.
The European fatigue can really hit teams, especially those outside the top 6. We know that ourselves. A few years ago when we qualified for, got Europa qualifications, we didn't even get into the group stages. And I think it took us until like February for us to get our season back up and running, because of the fatigue that it had on our players. So I think a lot of people are forgetting about that and the impacts that could have on the rest of the league. And there's been a lot of changes with different teams. Obviously Brentford losing Thomas Frank, changes like that. So I think it's going to be a bit closer than it has been in recent years. And hopefully at least one of us, if not all of us, who have come up can stay up, because if all 3 promoted clubs go down again, 3 seasons in a row, it doesn't look good for that league.
No, I think
but
if you watched Monday Night Football, Gary Neville was saying exactly the same thing, that if it keeps on happening where the 3 promoted sides just keep on getting relegated, it's not good for the league. You've almost then got a fixed league type of thing, haven't you? So I think this season, you're right, I think this season could be the season where that trend's kind of buckled. I do think there's some other teams going to struggle. I think Wolves will struggle this season. I think you've already mentioned Brentford. I think they have got massive issues. I mean, Keith Andrews, he's a set piece coach, never ever managed before, so that was a really, really strange choice for manager, that. So I think you're right. I think hopefully we can just pick up enough points and get a good start to the season.
Yeah, and I think obviously from a Burnley perspective, hopefully that starts on Saturday, because that was the killer for us last time, that we didn't pick up points early in the season, and that ultimately we spent the rest of the season trying to play catch up. And that's obviously what you don't want to be doing in this league. You want to get the points on the board as early as you can. So yeah, I'm still sat here with blind confidence that Burnley are going to stay up and we're going to finish 17th. And, we are going to do it, because if we feel like we're relegated after day 1, what's the point in the rest of the season? There's no point in trying to enjoy it. So I'm a Burnley fan who's, my cup's always half full when it comes to my team. And I could sit here and tell you we're going to win the next 37 games and we're going to lift the trophy, and I would fully believe that. But in my heart of hearts, unfortunately, I know that's not true.
You have to believe, don't you? You have to believe, don't you? Otherwise, like you said, there's no point. There's no point supporting them.
Exactly. If you can't have that blind faith, then there's no point. But yeah, I think both of us are set up. Obviously, we're set up in different ways. We've gone about our transfer business slightly different, even though we've both got a lot of signings who have come through the door. But I think we've both got our heads screwed on about what the Premier League is, especially from our perspective. Scott Parker's done it twice and failed twice. I think, he's learned a lot from those experiences, and hopefully it's third time lucky for him.
Well, that's it. I mean, plus you've got the experience of being there, a couple of seasons ago, so you know what it's like. So you now know what to expect. I know you've got different players and what have you, but as a club, you know what to expect. But I mean, if we're both going to stay up, then who would you predict is going to get relegated, and who do you think could go down? I know we've touched on Brentford and Wolves. Who do you think would go down?
I think Leeds. I think their football's not going to translate well to the Premier League. I know, obviously, they got fortunate on Monday night with James Tarkowski having an arm. So that went in their favour, unfortunately. But yeah, I think their football's going to, it's not going to translate well to the Premier League, and I'm sure someone will take this, and at the end of the season, when Burnley have finished rock bottom on 10 points, it'll be posted everywhere. But yeah, I don't think Leeds stay up for me. I think, like we said, teams are really going to struggle. I think the shine's gone off it for West Ham a little bit. I think, no disrespect to you guys, but if you can rip them apart in the second half,
that's it.
The way that you did, I think a lot of teams are going to do that. And then Forest, for me, I think they're a team that I do think they're going to struggle. And I think with their European competition, if something happens to Chris Wood, I wonder where the goals are going to come from. I know that they do have other striking options and good players, but I just think if something happens to Chris Wood, they're really going to struggle, especially with the extra competitions that they're in.
That's an interesting one. I mean, based on how they performed at the weekend, I mean, they played really well at the weekend. I saw their game, but I know what you mean, though. The European stuff does have a massive impact. Did we use, when you were in? So you've got to have a massive squad. I mean, they have got a massive squad, but are them fringe players good enough? So, but I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But our game at the weekend, and so where do you see Burnley hurting us, then where do you think you could get at us, and how are you going to beat us at the weekend?
About 2 months ago, I'd have said through the midfield, but now you've got Granit Xhaka, so that's.
We still can't believe that. Honestly,
it's a heck of a signing for years, but he also becomes Burnley's man of the match every time he's played at Turf Moor. I think the last time he played against us, he got an assist for one of our players, and
wow.
I think the two times before that he got sent off. I don't think Turf Moor is his favourite place, but that's a demon he might want to conquer. So yeah, I'd have said midfield, but honestly, I think you guys were so strong at the weekend against West Ham. I think unless we're on our A game, we're going to struggle, everywhere across the pitch. Watching you last season against us as well, we just couldn't touch you, really. With how we were playing,
we just couldn't take a penalty. That was all.
Oh, you could. It would just say. But yeah, that just, like I say, the two times we played you last season, you were probably the team that we struggled with the most. So yeah, I don't know where we're going to exploit your weaknesses, because you don't really have any that I can see.
I think defensively we weren't probably, that was probably our weakest area up until the last few weeks. And we were massively short of defensive covered centre half, but we signed that Alderete from Atletico, was it Getafe? And he came on at the weekend, and within 3 minutes he got an assist. So another great sign. Looks a really, really good prospect. But I don't know. I'm confident, but Sunderland we've had a good result of the weekend. As long as we go down to your place and don't just think we're going to turn up and roll over, because that's what happens. That doesn't happen. And in this league, doesn't matter who you're playing. If you're not at your game, you get beat. So it's an interesting game. Like you say, I think in both games last season, we probably give you your two hardest games. I think in all of the games last season, probably should have won down at your place with them 2 penalties, which still kind of believe it. I don't think either of those recovered yet.
I think I'm sure I still owe someone I need to get a tattoo of James Trafford on my back somewhere, but because I'm sure after the first one, and when the second one were given, I'm sure someone said he can't save them twice, and I said, if he saves this one, I'm getting a tattoo of his face on my back. So
was it right? Did anybody
record to do that?
But I mean, it's only the second game of the season. Do you think it's a 6-pointer already? Do you think it's that important? I mean, for you to get that first win.
I think it's a massive game. I think I'd be stupid to understate it as not being a massive game. We're both teams that are expected to finish down in the bottom, in the bottom 3. So for me to think anything else would be daft for me, but it's only the second game. You can't have a 6-pointer at this point in the season. There's so much to come, and there's so many twists and turns through the season. We could be rock bottom at Christmas and end up staying up. We could be 7th at Christmas and end up being rock bottom at end of season. It's a long, long season. But it is crucial that we get points on the board. You guys already have, obviously. We're sat with no points. So, yeah, it's a massive game to get some points on the board. But to call it a 6-pointer at this moment's a bit not for me.
I mean, who do you play after us? What's your next couple of games after you play us?
So we've got United away.
Oh, 3 points.
Well, you never know with them, do you? It's either going to be 3 points or we'll get smashed 5-0. So, and then it's the lovely international break. Just as we get up and running, and then I think when we come back, I'm pretty sure it's Liverpool, City, and Arsenal. So welcome back.
Welcome to the Premier League. Dear me. Go on then, give us a score prediction for Saturday. What's your thoughts?
I'm going to have to say a Burnley win, because if I say anything else, my heart won't let me. I think you will score, and I think you might score first. I think the turf. We might make it into a cauldron. It might be, the hell that Vincent Company wanted it to be a couple of years ago. We might actually turn up the atmosphere. So yeah, I'm going to go with 2-1, but you guys are going to score first.
Good stuff. I'm going to go for a 2-0. I think I just worry about your firepower in front of goal. I think in the Premier League, like everything, the first goal is massive. I think whoever gets the first goal could probably get to win the game. I think there's not many teams in the Premier League come from behind.
Yeah.
The first goal is crucial, but I think we might, or I'm hoping we might just be a little bit too strong. But again, it's the centre forwards and Armando and Isidore, our two strikers, both got off the mark at the weekend, which is massive for their confidence. So hopefully they can carry on to the weekend. So I'm going to go for a 2-0, but it's a difficult game to call. Two promoted sides. I mean, I just hope we don't go there too overconfident after Saturday's result and get in a false sense of security, which can easily happen. But good stuff, 2-0. Well, thanks for coming on, Andrew. Really appreciate it. Really good to get the Burnley insight. Let me know in the comments below, what your thoughts. Is it the 6-pointer already? Do you think, and put your score predictions as well, how you think the game's going to go? Any Burnley fans watching as well? Do you want to give a shout out to the channel, what you mentioned before, that you do some work on?
Yeah, so obviously see me on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere, as AlwaysClaret, but I work with Turfcast Podcast. We create Burnley content, so pre-match previews, post-match reaction, fan reactions, just general football Burnley content, just to keep the Clarets ticking by.
Brilliant. So head across there and have a look on X and get followed and get subscribed, and we'll get some good social media there. Watch out as well for Fanalyst. We've got some great stuff coming on there in the coming weeks. Another match review this weekend. Hopefully we'll see what the fans are seeing, and it'll be good to see. Also, I'll have my match preview come out tomorrow, as I usually do for the match on Saturday, and there'll be a match review after that as well. But till the next video, I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, stay safe, and we'll speak soon. Ta-ra.
Sunderland's where we live and fight with pride.